Welcome to the 8th episode of Jillian's Clinical Corner. Today we're talking about one of my most favorite topics, sleep. Not just an episode about sleeping, which I also love doing, of course, and I love talking about, but about actually teaching sleeping skills. So the skills that our learners, our clients, and our kids need to sleep and have a restful sleep at night. So learners with special needs and really all kids have the potential to have challenging sleep at night. Sleep is one of those things that you think everyone is just born knowing how to do it, which is true. But how to get quality sleep and how to sleep at appropriate times can sometimes be really challenging. And what's important to remember is that sleep is a behavior, just like all of the other types of behaviors that we teach. So if we're going to teach appropriate eating, we're going to teach sitting skills, reading, math, anything that we're going to teach. Sleep is a behavior just like all of those other things. So it's something that we could definitely teach using behavioral strategies. But it's such a difficult skill for parents to work on because you're tired. You're tired at night. I know that sounds like, oh, it won't be so bad. Just spend a couple of nights up with your kid and then they'll be sleeping, like a charm. But it's really, really difficult. Going without sleep is a really serious thing. So what are common sleep problems? We're going to discuss that. And then we're going to discuss what does the research say we should do about them. So in my experience and from reading research, the big 3 sleep issues for kids would include difficulty falling asleep, difficulty staying asleep, and waking up too early. Everything else really stems from these top 3 areas. How are these addressed in the research? First and most important thing to do is set a sleep schedule for your client or for your child. Mindell et al. In 2015 discussed the importance of this. So really from a very young age, even though a baby who's only maybe 10 to 12 weeks old, they're not developmentally ready to be sleeping through the night at that time. However, they're the perfect age to start a sleep schedule with, even at that young of an age. So a sleep schedule is a routine that your child would do every night when preparing for sleep. So for a little bit of an older child, things that might be included are putting on pajamas, brushing teeth, reading a bedtime story. Most important, it's all things that are calming. So TV, video games, loud music, anything else that excites your child or gets them really hyped up and hyper should be avoided about 30 minutes to an hour prior to bedtime and should not be included in the bedtime routine. Another difficulty that can present challenges is children getting out of bed once they've already been laid down. So you have a great nighttime routine, your kid lays down right away in their bed, you follow the schedule perfectly, but once you leave the room, they get up out of bed to ask you a question, see what you're doing, have a drink of water. This could delay their actual sleep time. And it could just make the time that they actually fall asleep really late, and it could put stress on you to kind of get them back into bed every time after they get up. Fryman et al. In 1999 developed a routine called the bedtime pass. So it's basically a pass that allows your child to get up out of bed. So if they typically get out of bed, let's just say 5 times, you want to start with 5 bedtime passes so they can get an understanding of the process. And then each time they get up, they need to turn over one of their bedtime passes. So if they get up once for a drink of water, then they have 4 left. They turn one into you, they have 4 left. And then they would have 5, for the start, just so they can understand the process. Once the skill starts to develop, you would go down to 4 bedtime passes, then 3, then 2, then 1, and then eventually 0. And then you've successfully eliminated the getting out of bed. And this seems to be a lot more doable for parents and easier to fade for BCBAs who are writing this program. Definitely check out the article. I'll put the references at the end. So the last one that I mentioned was waking up too early. And what can you do for kids who wake up too early? And then are up for the whole day. Now, too early, I'm talking about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, basically any time before an appropriate wake time for their age, usually somewhere between like 6 and 6:30 in the morning. So if they wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and, that's probably developmentally an appropriate time. So depending on the time for the age of your child or for your learner. Now, I haven't been able to find really any research on this, but what I've read about anecdotally often is the okay to wake alarm. So since kids are typically too young to tell time when we need to work on this skill, the okay to wake alarm is a light that indicates that they can't wake you up until they see that light turn green. So it's basically a visual countdown, kind of like a fan, like it counts down, and then when it reaches a certain point, the light turns green. And then when the light turns green, your kids know they can come and wake you up. So I put here a picture of an advertisement for what one might look like, so that way you guys could just see it if you've never heard of this before. And if you're going to use this, I would recommend, if you're going to use this or if you're going to use the bedtime pass, I would recommend a lot of reinforcement for following any of those procedures, but especially following the alarm until it's time to wake you up. So if they follow the alarm, they don't wake you up until the alarm turns green or the light turns green, I would save a special reinforcer for following that. So maybe like a special breakfast treat, preferred TV show in the morning that usually they're not allowed to watch. Also fade the time up slowly. So if they usually wake up at 5 every morning and you're trying to get them to 6:30, which is a more developmentally appropriate time for them, try the okay to wake alarm. If they usually wake up at 5, try it around like 5:15 and then 5:30, and then slowly fade it until you get to your preferred time. So like I said, somewhere probably between like 6 and 7 in the morning. Even though there are more factors that could contribute to difficulties at night, these are 3 basic ways you could help improve sleep for your kids or for your clients. So we went through the sleep routine and sleep schedule, which could help just with the overall sleep at night and the overall going to sleep. The bedtime pass, which could help with kids who get out of bed frequently. And then the okay to wake alarm, which could help if kids wake up too early. Plus, we also touched on providing additional reinforcement, which I think is a really important takeaway. Always remember, even though sleep is really reinforcing for you, sometimes for our kids or our clients, getting up and enjoying your day is more reinforcing than getting a couple extra hours of sleep. So remember that reinforcement piece if they're able to follow the okay to wake or follow the amount of bedtime passes that they have. All right, so thank you so much for watching this month's Clinical Corner. I've included my references at the end so you guys can check them out if you want to implement anything here. And see you next time for our 9th installment. Thank you so much.